children, today we are going to learn history subject for standard 8th. Our first lesson is sources of history. Now what are the sources of history? We are going to see our different sources of history. Before that, why study history? Why study history is an important question which arises in your mind. As you all find, history is a boring subject. So why we have to study history? But there are many reasons where we have to study history so that we get a proper knowledge of our past events. Now sources of history. Sources of history are material source, written source and oral source. Before learning sources of history, we will see why history is an important topic to be learned. Now, history is important to be learned because it gives us a proper knowledge of your past, which is linked, interconnected to present and which will help you in future. The history always talks about the past period and different sources which helps us to understand. Now history itself, a word tells us his story, means a story of each and every object. Now we have to know the story of everyone. Why? Because you are always enthusiastic to know the story of different people, different things and different. Written sources. Written sources are those which are in the form of written text. They are used by the historians to reconstruct ancient, medieval, and modern history. Now, who are historians? Historians are those persons who do research on history topic. Written sources gives us information about past event or past history with the help of autobiographies, newspaper, correspondence, factory records, periodicals, biography, foreign accounts, and so on. Newspaper and periodicals. Newspapers and periodicals provides us information about the contemporary events by writing, means by written sources of that period. In the pre-independence period, newspaper like Dhyanuday, Dhyan Prakash, Amrit Bazar, Patrika, Deen Bandhu, Kesari acted as a important sources of awakening the minds of the people. During the British period, newspapers were not only the source of political event but also acted as a source of social reformation. The Nibandmala by Vishnu Shastri Chiplunkar and Shatapatre written by Lokitwadi Gopal Hari Deshmukh. They were the Marathi famous writers. Muknayak talks about Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar and his newspaper, which was started in January 1920. Maps and drawings. Maps and drawings is also regarded as important sources of history. It shows the changing nature of the city or the location traced by it. The Survey of India was an independent department established during the British period. It designed and planned the architecture which proved important from the view of study of architecture of a building as well as phases of development progress in a particular area. For example, the Department of Mumbai Port Trust has original plan of Bombay report information about the development of Bombay city. As the experience and knowledge increased, the people began to write in different ways. He began to record the events that took place around him, account of the proceedings of royal courts with the help of written source systematically. Oral sources. Oral sources are those sources which are passed on orally by mouth from one generation to other generation in the way of recitation. Oral sources are the collection of study of historical information about individual families, important events, or everyday life using audio tapes, videotapes, or transcription of planned interviews. Oral sources have OVs, folk songs, and folk tales. Similar literature is passed on from generation to generation by word of mouth. This literature is not in the written form. Its authors are unknown. This type of literature preserved by oral tradition form the oral sources of history. Folk songs, folk tales mean stories, the best inspirational songs, OVs, fairs, interviews, narrations. Next is Povada. Povada is a source of getting information about historical events or a work of a particular person. It also talks about the freedom struggle of 1857 and valor of revolutionaries during the British rule. Activity. Now you have to do a activity. Trace out the statues and memorials in your neighboring areas. Note down the information of an event or personality that you obtain through it by seeing the statues, name the statues, and write the importance about the famous personalities. Second one, take the help of audio visual and write two inspirational songs, speeches, and povada related to the period of Indian freedom movement and write it down in your notebook. Video, audio, and audio visual sources. Most interesting one and your favorite one. Now see how the changes have taken place into the audio source from big ear to small ear. Photographs. Photographs tell you the visual source of modern Indian history. A photograph is a pause button of life. Means whenever a photograph is taken, it creates a certain image of the particular event. In the case of medieval period, paintings were available which depicted the physical features of a person. But due to the changes in technology, photographs have changed from black and white to color, which gives us the information about particular person, society, development, their hairstyles, features, and etc. Recordings. The discovery of technique of recording was also an important as photograph. Recording is a form of audio source of history. During the modern period, the recordings were made of speeches of the leaders or the important personalities. Songs were recorded. Now, national anthem, you all know this is a famous song which is sung by each and every person, but it was composed by Rabindranath Tagore and it was been recorded. So now we are learning it and we sing it. speeches of Subhash Chandra Bose, that is also recorded. The speeches you can hear on the audio visual effect. Videos. Now you see videos. Before that, there were videos were not available, but now you form videos available in a fraction of second. Last is films. Films are considered as an unique discovery of modern technology in the 20th century, which talks about the stages of film development and its technique. Dada Saheb Phalke Award means in year 1913, Dada Saheb Phalke laid the foundation of Indian film industry. It also talks about the Dandi Yatra, Salt Satyagraha and Quit India movement in the form of audiovisual recordings. Archaeology has given us the best gift of this period at a greater extent. This also talks about the ancient period, medieval period, and modern period, which are being also preserved in archives, which talks about culture, social, politics, and economic matters of our tradition and country with a scientific proof and passed on to next generation for the better learning and preservation. Thank you.